Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, good whatever time it is, wherever you are, whoever you are. Welcome once again to Nerd Week Live, the show in which we, the folks at Nerd Caliber, bring to you nerd news that has happened over the past week since our last show last Tuesday. I'm Rodney Brown. I'm the editor-in-chief of Nerd Caliber. I am first-person shooter on Facebook and Instagram as a cosplay photographer and different things in different other places, generally related to Burly Adopter or Burly underscore Adopter. And I have to say, I am currently not at my usual place, so I don't have my multiple monitors and high-end, webcam and all the other, USB mic and all the other stuff. I'm running off of a webcam off a laptop, which means I've got limited screen space, and so this is probably not going to be the smoothest show I've done, but I do beg your indulgence while I bounce around from screen to screen on my limited 15-inch, I think, screen real estate here. So, before I get started, already in the chats there in YouTube, Anna Alice, welcome to the show. Hola back. If you do have any comments on any of the things we're talking about, any of my opinions on any of these things, please do feel free to weigh in. We do love to, in real time, chat back with you, respond to your comments. That's the word I'm looking for. And we get a lot of fun out of that. So, before we get going, I am going to do our first, maybe and only, if I can find it on this version of OBS. Luminous, welcome to the show. Not all small screen news. You'd be surprised. If you do happen to have a Patreon account, we'd love to have you check us out at patreon.com/nerdcaliber, the URL that's on your screen. Oh, and by the way, Luminous, welcome to the show. We only have 3 tiers. $2 is the lowest tier. We take that money and we use it to go to new cons, to cons that we haven't been to a while, basically to gather new content for you on the website, on YouTube, and so on. That having been said, let's get into the first topic. So our first topic is this person right here is the latest cast member to join the upcoming season of Doctor Who. This is Jinx Monsoon, and Jinx Monsoon is a 2-time champion on RuPaul's Drag Race, winning season 5 and then coming back and winning the Drag Race All-Stars on season 7 to be crowned what the show calls the Queen of Queens. Monsoon just finished up a run on Broadway in Chicago playing Mama Morton. And this is a fantastic get from everybody who has seen anything they've done. I'm not familiar with their work, but I've been told by people who are that they are a fantastic actor, and this will be a wonderful get. We don't know what character or even the nature of the character that Monsoon is going to be playing. That hasn't come out. Now, Russell T. Davies, the returning showrunner of the upcoming season of Doctor Who, has said, I'll have to go back here to get you the actual quote. I believe it is, in a galaxy of comets and supernovas, here comes the biggest star of all. Jinx Monsoon is on a collision course with the TARDIS, and Doctor Who will never be the same again. I mean, that could be a villain, it could be a companion, it could be another Time Lord, it could be anything. We just don't know. It's just so generic. It is described as a, quote, major role, so I'm assuming this is a recurring, ongoing role through at least the upcoming season. And those are generally companion roles. You don't often see a villain going past a single season. They may come back in later seasons. In fact, they often do, the Master and so on. But you very rarely see villains go from consecutive season to season in Doctor Who. This could also be somebody who is just a major supporting character, and there have been those in Doctor Who that are not companions, but are somebody who the Doctor relies on a lot. And they could very well be filling out that role. we'll just have to find out. The upcoming season with Ncuti Gatwa doesn't hit until 2024. I believe actually will start in the Christmas special around in the end of this year. I'd have to go back and look all that. We talked about this in the show before, but I have to go back and look all that up to be sure of it. But I'm looking forward to this. Gatwa is really engaging. Russell T Davies coming back. Of course, we've talked about this a lot. You know, me and the even bigger Doctor Who fans on our team. And so they've got an increased budget, according to what Deadline reports. So they could be using it to sign, bigger name people, but they also could be using it for better special effects. I mean, one of the thrills of Doctor Who is the kind of cheesy special effects, but I would not mind seeing it having better special effects. Put it that way. So yeah, we will get to see sometime in early 2024 Jinx Monsoon arriving at Doctor Who. I think that's wonderful news. Obviously, fantastic representation for the LGBTQIA plus community. Just wonderful. As is, so far, almost every decision made by Davies with this upcoming season. All right, moving on to our next topic. This is artwork right from Wizards of the Coast of something within the Dragonlance series of novels or intellectual property. Could be a campaign based on the novels, I'm not sure. But the news is that actor, hunk, and general all-around super fan of D&D, Joe Manganiello, is working on a live-action television series treatment based on the Dragonlance novels and intellectual property. So this was sort of a rumor from back in February, where he went on a video for, or was in a video for, a company that makes like tabletop or tables, gaming tables and things like that. And mentioned that he says, I work for Dungeons and Dragons, so I'm actually shooting a documentary right now, and I'm developing a TV show for them. So, cut to just last week when the official D&D Direct 2023 showcase by Wizards of the Coast was held, and in the segment that talked about this documentary that Manganiello is making about D&D's 50th anniversary, he came on and he said specifically that he is working on this live-action television adaptation of the Dragonlance novels. So while it may have been an unconfirmed rumor back when he said it in this video that he was making for a game table company, this was on the D&D Direct official live broadcast. That's an announcement. That's not, and they certainly haven't retracted it. So I think that's great. I'm really looking forward to seeing what he does with this. Obviously, it's in really early stages, and it's a little confusing because we reported on this back in January when it came out that there is a television series in development being, or the first episode of which is being written or has been written and directed or will be directed by Rawson Marshall Thurber, who did the movie Red Notice for Netflix. Paramount Pictures and E1 producing. This statement by Manganiello says nothing about who's producing it. E1 would make sense. That was, I think is the correct term. I think there's been some sort of sale of E1 or shifting out. The entertainment intellectual property spinoff arm of Hasbro, which owns Wizards of the Coast and E1. So, that would make a lot of sense. But there's been no statement about whether these are two separate series that are being worked on or if the Thurber one is the thing that Manganiello's talking about. I look forward to finding out more and giving that to you, clarification on that. But as of right now, I just don't know. And it hasn't been clarified, unfortunately. I'm hoping. Oh, and apologies for these crazy sudden white balance shifts. This webcam software is terrible. It's probably going to happen a couple of times. So we don't know. We'll try to find out, and when we do, we'll have an updated story on this. I really like the idea. I'm concerned, not of the people involved, because the only one we know who's involved is Manganiello. But I'm a little concerned that adaptations of fantasy stuff, aside from the House of the Dragon, have been iffy at best. So, fingers crossed that they nail this one. If they get the people involved in Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves to keep that sort of sense and theme and tone of fun but exciting, adventure story, then I think it could work out really well. But we'll have to see. All right, moving on to small screen adaptations, as as Luminous put it so succinctly. We next have, bouncing around. There we go. News about Scott Pilgrim, the streaming series, as an anime coming to Netflix with pretty much the entire voice cast from the 2010 film reprising their roles. Michael Cera, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, Satya Baba as Matthew Patel, Kieran Culkin as Wallace Wells, Chris Evans as Lucas Lee, Anna Kendrick as Stacey Pilgrim, Brie Larson as Envy Adams, Allison Pill as Kim Pine, Aubrey Plaza as Julie Powers, Brandon Routh as Todd Ingram, Jason Schwartzman as Gideon Graves, Johnny Simmons as Young Neil, Mark Webber as Stephen Still, Mae Whitman as Roxy, and Ellen Wong as Knives Chow. That's pretty much it. It is being produced by Edgar Wright, who did the movie, and Brian Lee O'Malley and Ben David Grabinski, who were the author and artist on the graphic novels. You can't get a better group of people to do an adaptation of Scott Pilgrim than the people who did the graphic novels and the person who did the movie. I am so looking forward to this. I think it's perfect. An anime adaptation. Oh, and by the way, the anime studio is Science Saru, one of the most innovative Japanese animation studios in existence. They don't have a ton of stuff, but what they do have is absolutely fantastic and amazing. They have the Devilman Crybaby that Netflix did, which is really wild out there animation, in addition to being a disturbingly adult story. But they also have the fantastic Keep Your Hands Off Eizouken, which is one of my favorite animes of the last 5 or 6 years. Completely different animation style and captures what it's like to be a young person with a drive to do animation, to be an animator, to get into anime that I've ever seen, while still being wildly ridiculous. It's really solid. Science Saru was a great get. It'll be perfect for doing this kind of adaptation. I'm so looking forward to this. Everything is aligned perfectly. It would have to fail hard. Somebody would have to try really hard to screw this up. I think. So Edgar Wright has said, since the film's release in 2010, we've done Q&As, remembrances, and charity read-throughs, but there was never the occasion to reunite the whole gang on an actual project until now. This is original creator Brian Lee O'Malley, along with his writer Ben David Grabinski, have conjured up an anime series of Scott Pilgrim that doesn't just expand the universe, but also this is, well, just watch it. It's interesting that they're talking about it expanding the universe when it's bringing back literally everybody. Um, also, Science Saru last year had the Heike story, which was I didn't watch it myself, but it was wildly popular and very well critically received. So, if you're anything like a fan of anime, you should be absolutely paying attention to this. And if you're a fan of Scott Pilgrim, um, just getting all of these people back. Yeah, Brie Larson is Captain Marvel, you know, and has a movie coming out. You got to assume that Brie Larson is pretty tied up. But no, she's back. Everybody's back. That's so cool. I'm really excited for this. Anna Alice, hello again. So in the YouTube chats. All right, so they just announced this. There's obviously no information about when we're going to see it, but I'm really looking forward to it, and I hope that it's going to be fairly soon. Science Saru doesn't flood themselves with contract anime work all the time like a lot of other anime studios do. They pick something and they make it. And so they could, in theory, put this out faster than, say, if it was in the hands of MAPPA or A1 Pictures or anybody like that. So fingers crossed that it's coming out early next year. That's what I would really like to see. But also, take their time. Science Saru does beautiful work, and I don't want to see it rushed. I don't think they do. I don't think that's the way that organization works. But we'll keep you informed as we get more information about that. All right. I really hate putting this photo up, but it's the photo that needs to be shown about Ike Perlmuter, the guy in the blue tie shaking Donald Trump's hand. Ike Perlmuter, chairman of Marvel Entertainment, is chairman of Marvel Entertainment no longer associated with Marvel at all in any capacity other than, well, historical. He has been removed from the company at the hands of Bob Iger, the head of Disney. And frankly, this could not be a better bit of news when it comes to Marvel. To give him his credit, he was chairman of Marvel when they started the Marvel movies with Iron Man. And immediately after that, he sold it for a huge, $4 billion to Disney, and then immediately started problems. He is confirmed by Bob Iger to have tried to quash, like completely stop production on Black Panther and Captain Marvel, stating that nobody wanted to see movies with diverse leads. He is not confirmed, but has been accused by a subordinate of his, a very high-level Marvel executive, of straight up saying that nobody would care if they replaced Terrence Howard with Don Cheadle in the second Iron Man movie, because according to this person alleging Ike Perlmuter said, nobody's going to tell the difference between two black men. There is absolutely no question that he is a problematic individual when it comes to diversity. No question about that. Again, that's been confirmed by Bob Iger in his statements about Black Panther, or in his attempts to quash Black Panther and Captain Marvel. He tried to get Kevin Feige fired over making Doctor Strange. Um, and that's why his path since Disney took over has literally been Disney took over and he was in charge of Marvel Entertainment, and Marvel Studios was a division underneath that. And after he tried to quash Doctor Strange, Disney, this was when Iger was in charge the previous time, said, yeah, you know what? We're just going to take Marvel Studios and make it a separate unit that Kevin's going to report directly to me. You can still report directly to me with things like comic books and arena shows and television. And then Perlmuter went and made the Inhumans. And then Disney went, okay, well, we're going to take the television stuff and put it under studios because it makes sense. And we want that to all integrate and, synergize and all that stuff. Probably telling Perlmuter that he absolutely created one of the most dog-turd pieces of nerd content ever made, but not publicly. And then most recently, he was involved in a proxy fight with the board, trying to get essentially his own sort of anti-Bob Iger board member or person on the board that failed. And in a very short amount of time after that, come on, try to get there we go. In a very short amount of time after that, he's out. He's notorious as being super, super cheap, hates the public spotlight. So how that photo of him, I guess there are certain people he doesn't mind having his picture taken with. But he is, by all accounts, one of the worst executives to work in corporate entertainment in a long, long time. Overall, there haven't been any accusations Harvey Weinstein level or so on, who's clearly probably the worst. But he's got a completely different set of, wow, that guy's terrible. But we don't have to worry about him anymore. He's done. He's out. Marvel is better for it, 100% better for it. Thank God the Perlmuter era is over. You don't have to take my word for it. There are tons of articles out there. I was just looking up at a Screen Rant one. There are videos out there all explaining what Ike Perlmuter did with Marvel, his successes, and then his terrible, terrible decisions, and the kind of person he was. So, buy Ike. Don't let the door hit you in the ass on the way out, or do, because that could be funny. And I wouldn't mind seeing that. So that's just such golf claps all around for that decision. Thank you, thank you. All right, we've got 2 trailers we're going to be talking about next. And because I know, Luminous, you don't like trailer spoilers, we're not going to talk about in any detail anything that's revealed. Oh my God, and this is... All right, not entirely. They've announced previously a particular villain. We finally get to see that villain, not in any villainous way other than just, boy, that guy looks scary. As a person. Luminous, I never heard of Ike Perlmuter until he was fired. Do we know who is running Marvel now? Kevin Feige is in charge of all Marvel. So Marvel Entertainment, which is still the comic book publishing, arena shows, things like that. There we go. Is now reporting to Feige. So Kevin Feige is in charge of everything Marvel, and he reports directly to Bob Iger. Movies, TV, comic books. That's a good point. So the president of Marvel Entertainment is staying on, and let me see if I can... Dan Buckley will stay in place and report to Feige, president of Marvel Studios. So, yeah. Everything is now under Kevin Feige's control when it comes to Marvel stuff. Literally everything from, the Avengers, what do they call it, compound or whatever it is at Disney, through the upcoming one-shot Broadway show, which is based on Rogers the musical, to all the comic books and all the TV and all the movies. So Feige runs it all now. And by all accounts, that's a much smarter decision. Disney is very happy with it. Perlmuter didn't want to make Black Panther and Captain Marvel, and they both went on to make more than $1 billion. So, yeah, Iger's really happy with Feige and really happy that Perlmuter is gone. All right, moving on. So the first of our two trailers is the trailer for Blue Beetle, dropped just today or late yesterday. Late yesterday, because I remember making the graphic for Blue Beetle and then having to change it for our final topic. It looks really good. Like I said, I'm not going to get into a lot of details because I know people like Luminous don't want a lot of details about the trailer. They don't want things spoiled. We really get to see the tone of the movie. We get to see Zolo Maranduena, who plays Jaime Reyes. We get to see how he he gets the scarab, the Blue Beetle scarab. It's really good. The cast is fantastic. We know that Susan Sarandon is playing Victoria Cord, sort of the big villain of the piece. And then Raul Max Trujillo from the Sicario movies and Mayans MC is playing Carapax, who is like the more direct combat villain. George Lopez plays Jaime's Uncle Rudy, and he has the best line in the trailer. I know you don't like watching trailers, but it's actually, it'll be a great line when you see it in the movies. So, yeah, if you don't want to watch a trailer, don't watch a trailer. And I'm not going to give away the line. It's just really funny. But according to this Deadline article, the Blue Beetle, Jaime Reyes, will be moved into the James Gunn, Peter Safran future upcoming DCU. Safran, where are we here? So I think that's great if it's true. I think it would make a lot of sense if it's true. And if you look at the trailer or when you watch the movie, you will absolutely get a sense that this feels like a Gunn movie without the R rating. But it has that same, really good, smart, well-delivered comedy. Not just puns and quips, but comedy of situation and character. And that's one of the things that Gunn sort of has over the MCU. In the hands of good writers, there's comedy of character. Like a lot of the funny stuff of WandaVision was just brilliant character work. But in a lot of times, it can be just let's throw another quip and make it funny. So the Taika Waititi's most recent Thor is just one of the worst examples ever. This feels more like Gunn's Guardians of the Galaxy work or the Suicide Squad, Peacemaker, again, without the R ratings. And it also has moments that are very serious and moments that are almost a little dark. Like you can see that the director of photography has worked on a couple of Blumhouse horror movies. It really shows. And that works to the benefit of this series because, you've got this young man who's sort of thrown into this situation of having this essentially superpowered alien war suit. And there's a lot of comedy there, but there's also a lot of, possibly very frightening drama, and they do a good job of that. So I can see how this would blend very well into Gunn's DCU. Pardon me. Yeah, drink something red and it screws up the white balance. But if you do want to see it, it's a fun trailer. It really gives you a sense of, I think they're going to knock this out of the park. It looks very exciting. Trailers are designed to look exciting, but it also shows me things that tells me this is going to be a good movie. It's going to have a heart to it that's about family, and I don't mean Dom family, family. I mean, like real sense of, an extended family and what they do and how they relate to one of their own having this situation. Because I'm not sure you can call it this blessing, because things aren't always a blessing for Jaime when the suit is sentient. In case you haven't read any of the comics or seen Young Justice or Titans cartoons where Jaime's version of Blue Beetle is in it. But it's really good. It's a great trailer. I would highly recommend it if you want to see the trailer and get a sense of what this is like. But if not, just take my word for it. It really has a James Gunn-like feeling without the cursing and gore. So there we go. All right. The second trailer, this just dropped today. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. I had to pick this photo. They put in the meme. In this intersectional space where there's all of these different Spider-Men, Spider people, Spider beings from all of the other aspects of the Spider-Verse. They're in groups of 3, all doing the pointing meme, and it's one of the best things in the trailer. And yes, I ruined that joke for a bunch of people who don't want to see trailer stuff. I apologize, but God, that was so good. And again, I'm not going to talk about any of the detailed stuff. Oscar Isaac as Spider-Man 2099 is wonderful. You get to hear a lot more of him in this. It's just the returning cast of Miles, Gwen, and so on are all fantastic, of course. Luminous, I like that Spider-Man photo. Yeah, it's the fact that shows up times like 20 in this trailer just blew my mind. I was so happy with it. But it also sets up, and I kind of joked about this on Twitter. It's Spider-Man across the trolley problem. Literally, Spider-Man 2099, who's kind of the guy in charge of all of this intersectional Spider-Verse place, at one point says, to Miles, you've got to either decide to save one person or save everybody in all of the universes. It's like, okay, so it's the trolley problem? Okay, it's been done. But then how they address it in the trailer, and then I'm assuming that means that's how they are going to further address it in the movie, I like a lot. And that's kind of the way I would take an approach to that. And I think they've done it very well. Of course, it's produced by Lord and Miller, who did the original Into the Spider-Verse. So yeah, they're not dumb. They know what they're doing. And this looks really great. Lumina says the second Barbie trailer is also out, and I'm not sure the humor is going to work. Since I had so many last-minute shifts today, literally a whole bunch of them in the budget, I didn't put Barbie in it. We might talk about it next week, depending on how many other things that are left over and how many other topics pop up. But we did talk about the first trailer or the teaser that dropped. So I'll look at that trailer. And we'll have it either next week or we won't if there's just way too much other stuff. But I take your concern that the humor may not work. I'm not entirely sure that they're going with the humor as the core of this. I don't think it's supposed to be a funny movie. I think it's supposed to be actually a dramatic movie with funny moments. Um, but I'm not sure. I'll have to see further on when I look at this trailer. Come on, white balance. There we go. But yeah, all right. Moving on to our last topic. So that is, of course, from the first or second Harry Potter movie. Can't remember which one that's from. And I'm sure everybody's seen this out there. The news is that Warner Brothers Discovery is in close talks with J.K. Rowling to have her come on board as a producer for a planned Harry Potter TV streaming series on HBO Max. The idea is that, according to Bloomberg, who broke the story, that each season of the series will be one book. It will adapt one book in the book series. I know that there are plenty of people who are Harry Potter fans and are going to want to watch this. It's like they bought the Hogwarts Legacy game. I'm not going to tell you you can't, obviously, because it's your choice, it's your decision, and I'm certainly not going to think badly of you if you make that choice. But J.K. Rowling, one of the most aggressive transphobes on the planet, with multi-million followers, so one of the largest voices to utilize a bully pulpit to pass on her transphobia, will be getting paid bucket loads of money up front. If she comes on as a producer, bucket loads of money in every single episode for 7 years. And every deal she has made basically since she made the first movie deals includes residuals where she gets paid every time whatever property she has gets shown anywhere. From what I understand, she gets paid part of the gate at Wizarding World. She gets paid residuals every time any of the Fantastic Beasts movies land on TNT or wherever they wind up now, pretty much the minute they come out because they're garbage. She's going to get paid for 7 years straight on every single episode of this thing as a producer, in addition to an upfront huge amount of cash, and then residuals every time every one of these episodes gets aired on, whatever it is initially, Netflix or Hulu or whatever streaming service it hits after they start coming off of HBO Max, and then, of course, eventually TNT or TBS or whatever. If you watch this, your viewership eyeballs are going directly to funding a transphobe's efforts to stamp out trans women, or let's say to deny that they even exist. I'm not going to be involved in it. I mean, we may have somebody on the team who wants to do this, if it happens. We don't know if it's going to happen. Who wants to review it, who's a big enough fan that they want to watch it. And if they want to take that hit, I'm not going to stop them. But I'm not going to be the one to cover this. If and when it happens. I don't want my viewership numbers to wind up jacking up whatever sort of percentage of potential value as an executive producer she gets. And I guarantee J.K. Rowling has a sliding scale based on viewership as to what she's going to be getting as an executive producer. I guarantee it. So, again, your call. Luminous, I would rather see the Batgirl movie. Hell yes, Amen. I understand there are people who have said, including Gunn, it really didn't work as a movie. Hey, that's why you have screenings and reshoots. If Zaslav, the Discovery dude who bought Warner Brothers, turned it into Warner Brothers Discovery, if Zaslav says they are not going to release $70 million movies, which were supposed to be made for HBO Max, they're only going to be releasing like $100 million movies. If it doesn't work, go back and do $30 million worth of reshoots. And you've got a $100 million movie that will be insanely popular. If you do it right now, it'll be stupidly popular. Now, granted, he can't. They've already written this off. If they were to release it, they would have to come up with some really innovative financial machinations to make it work, since they've already written it off as a tax write-off. So if you then go release it and make money off of it, the IRS is going to come back and say, well, no, okay, then that tax write-off from 2022, nope, that can't happen. You got to redo all of your taxes, and we're probably going to fine you for it. So because of how they wrote this off, I don't think we're ever going to see a Batgirl movie. Again, unless they've written it off and they give away the rights so that it doesn't have any financial impact on them. And then somebody else finishes it, and a different division releases it, or a different movie, or a different studio, or something. It's not going to happen. We're not going to see it. We are, I almost 100% guaranteed, going to see an HBO Max streaming series based on Harry Potter. Zaslav has said he wants more development of the Harry Potter intellectual property. He said it multiple times. He's also been in personal contact with J.K. Rowling, including coming to her defense as a put upon individual on social media. Another reason why I absolutely despise that Discovery bought Warner Brothers. For no other reason for that, and the fact that Zaslav has created some of the most garbage, reality television ever put out. So I'm not surprised. This is going to happen. I guarantee it's going to happen. It's just, there's way too much money to be made there for either side. The conservative scumbag Zaslav or the transphobe Rowling to give up that kind of money. It's going to happen. So, there we go, folks. Do we need it? Do we want it? Some people do want it. Nobody needs it. Some people do want it. And again, if those people want it, they're going to consume it. That's their choice. I'm not going to be one of them. That said, that's the show. Thank you, folks, for tuning in. Thank you for the people in the chat. Anna, Luminous, always a great time. We've got Anime Boston. I'm going to be heading out to Anime Boston. Thursday is our staff member come in early day. So I'll be heading out there in just a day and a half. And we'll be seeing you. Actually, I won't be seeing hardly any of you. I'll be mostly stuck in our planning office headquarters space. But I may be seeing you. Some of our team members will be seeing you. We will have a Community Row table out there in Community Row. So do stop by and say hi. We then have Wicked Comic Con 2 weeks after that in back at the Heinz, I should say. And Free Comic Book Day, May 6th. I'm really planning on being up at Double Midnight Comics in their new location in Manchester. If nothing else, they just posted up the food trucks. Oh, they look so good. I mean, the comics are great too. And I'm sure the cosplay will be great. And I'll take photos and we'll have a good time. So that said, I tested myself after PAX. Knock granite countertop here. There's a wooden chair. There we go. Knock wood. No, didn't get the COVID. Haven't heard any reports of COVID. That coming out of PAX again. Knock wood. So Masks worked, folks. Wear masks. Masks are strongly encouraged at Anime Boston. They are not required. Vaccination is strongly encouraged that you have all your boosters. It is not required. I'll be wearing a mask. If you're smart, you'll be wearing a mask at every time you can, other than eating, and maybe if somebody wants to take a picture and there's nobody within 6 feet of you. Please really do that. If you're in a crowd, wear a mask. That said, please, everybody stay safe. We'll see you at next week's show or at an upcoming event like Anime Boston. Good night.